Welcome back to the 7th week's lectures of Better Leader, Richer Life. In this week's second video, I'm going to talk to you about building social capital. In the last video, we looked at how to bring others along with you by taking smart political action. The foundation for doing so, and an essential enabler of your leadership capacity to produce four-way wins, is a supportive network of relationships in all domains of life. So in this video, we focus on building the social capital you need to be successful as a leader in all parts of life. Now, by the term social capital, I mean the resources available to you in your personal and business networks. I hope you're able to use the tools and concepts I'm about to describe as you move forward with your experiment so that it's more likely to enhance the strength of your existing relationships and allow you to cultivate new connections. But whether or not you can apply these ideas immediately, they will be useful for you in generating the support you need to lead in the weeks, months, and years to come. Way back in the year 2000, Wayne Baker wrote a great book called Achieving Success Through Social Capital, and I recommend you read it to learn more about this subject. Baker defines the purpose of social capital this way: to consciously and deliberately build networks that enable you to achieve your goals, fulfill your mission, and make your contribution to the world. Now, this is different from how people often think about the idea of networking. Most people construe the idea of networking to mean getting something from other people, using others for personal advantage. Of course, gaining access to resources to help you achieve your goals is an important purpose for building social capital, but the central idea and the most important aspect of understanding how to build social capital is that of contribution. What you are doing and what you can be doing for others. The essential, even if somewhat paradoxical idea is this: you benefit by making positive contributions to the lives of others. It's the golden rule, or karma. The richer your social network, the richer your life. And the easier it is to find the support you need to lead. Social capital brings with it resources, access to information, leads, work and career opportunities, financial capital, power, emotional support, goodwill, trust and cooperation, basically all the things we need in our lives to get important things done. Our networks are bundles of relationships, the people with whom we're connected. It's been shown that the most useful types of networks are open, so-called entrepreneurial networks, those in which people that you know don't know each other, as opposed to a closed network in which everybody knows everybody else. Let's explore this in more detail. First, it's important to realize that access to resources in our networks can either be direct, through the people we know, or indirect, through the people that they know. You might be familiar with the 6 degrees of separation concept, that all humans are connected by no more than 6 links in a chain of connections. It's a small world, after all. In one of the early research studies on social networks in the early 1970s, sociologist Mark Granovetter, in his article called The Strength of Weak Ties, sought to answer the question of how people get jobs. What he found was that most people get jobs not through the people that they know, but through people that those people know. The indirect, even if somewhat weaker, link. It's the people who you know that I don't know who are likely to be most valuable to me in my job search. But what might induce you to introduce me to those people? I'll return to that shortly, but let me just underscore this point here. The more people you know who aren't connected to each other, as in an open network, the broader the range of access that you have to resources. Open networks are more valuable than those that are closed, such as for those who live in a very tight-knit community and never leave that community. Also, because you have more opportunities to connect people or groups who don't know each other, to fill what's known as a structural hole in your network. That's the technical term. Let's say you know two people, Jacob and Isabella, but they don't know each other. You make the connection. And let's say things work out. Jacob and Isabella find mutual value in knowing each other. What happens then? They both see you as a positive force in their lives because you tried to help them. And even if things don't go so well between them, and Jacob and Isabella don't get along or find value in being connected, they are unlikely to view you negatively as long as they believe that you were genuinely trying to help them when you introduce them to each other. They're likely to judge you on your intent, which was to help them. When you connect people, you create value for them, and it comes back to you in terms of your reputation. People see you as someone who is helpful to other people, and that's the reputation you want to continue to cultivate throughout your life and in all domains of your life. Think about the people in your life who you see as a positive force in the world. Chances are they've been helpful in the past, either to you or to someone you know. And you'd be willing to similarly help them in the future. For example, Carlos, a former student, wrote about someone he admired. "I admire my good friend Chris," said Carlos. "Chris was the guy that gave me the opportunity to stop being a pipeline engineer and become a business developer. He was the guy that then inspired me to move to the United States. He was a groomsman at my wedding. He was one of the first to the hospital for the birth of my baby girl. Most importantly, however, he's been a role model of what can be achieved with a genuine open mind toward people from all walks of life, a respect for, but not a fear of risk, and a respect for the value of learning and experience, but also potential." Carlos went on. "I admire decisions he's made that have been based not just on what's most advantageous to his short-term career, but decisions that factor in his loyalty to family, to friends, and to colleagues." Do you have someone like Chris in your life? Are there people who see you the way Carlos sees Chris? The point is this: you gain others' trust, their respect, their admiration when you're willing to help them. This is the law of reciprocity, which seems to be universally true for virtually all cultures and throughout history. When you make life better for others, then people are more likely to want to exert effort on your behalf. And of course, the inverse is true too. The more you're seen as acting in your own self-interest, the less likely it is that others will extend themselves to help you. To build social capital, you have to contribute to others now, generating support for your capacity to contribute in the future. Many former students have found that through their stakeholder dialogues and their experiments, they've strengthened existing relationships by making positive contributions to their stakeholders and others in their world. The more you do this, the better. Reciprocity is the engine, the driving force in building social capital. The paradox is that it's in helping others without expecting immediate returns from them or from anyone else. You invoke the power of reciprocity. This is not about quid pro quo, as in, I'll do something for you if you do something for me. Rather, the goal is to cultivate a reputation as someone who actively and regularly looks for opportunities to help others. The purpose is to contribute, not to take. When you don't expect the immediate payback, That's when reciprocity ensues in the long run, as your reputation as a trustworthy, helpful person grows. People want to help people who help others. In order to have an open network, you need to have a diverse array of contacts. Yet we tend to congregate towards people who are like us, people who already know one another because it's easier, it's more comfortable, like birds of a feather. The problem is that you can't connect people who already know each other. So as you look for opportunities to develop new contacts, then, it's useful to focus not on people who already know each other, but on people who don't. If you grow the volume of your network through people that you already know and who already know each other, there's not as much value as growing your network through gaining contacts not already connected to those in your network. So when it comes to networks, diversity matters more than size. Finally, when you offer any sort of contribution or assistance to making life a little better for someone else, such as by introducing them to someone you know, whose responsibility is it to follow up and make sure that the offer becomes a tangible result? The person who needs the help, or you, the one who's offering it? Most people intuitively think that the onus is on the person who needs the help, but that's not usually the best approach. If you already know what someone needs, perhaps by their sharing with you some interest in getting help, well, then it's not wise to make them ask for it again. It's difficult enough for most people to ask for help, to put themselves in a vulnerable position by admitting a need. If you have a connection that might be of value to them, don't wait. Instead, take the initiative and make that connection. For example, if you think Mary would be able to help out John, don't just give John Mary's contact information and her name and then wait for him to either approach Mary himself or ask you to make the introduction. Make the introduction directly. They'll both appreciate it. You'll feel good, and the strength of your reputation as a trustworthy, helpful person will grow. That's how to induce the power of reciprocity. Chapter 7 of the Total Leadership book has more detail on how to build social capital and how to use experiments to do so. I'll cover the key points here. Just like financial or human capital, to build social capital, which you carry with you wherever you go, requires investments of attention over the course of your life. And of course, you don't have enough to contribute to everyone. A wise strategy requires diagnosis, a careful consideration of your goals, for which your leadership vision and values are the basis. Start by sketching a picture of what your networks now look like, and in light of your vision, what they need to look like in the future. These are useful questions to ask. Who are the people and groups on whom I depend to get things done? What groups are overrepresented and which ones are underrepresented? What are the ties I should strengthen? Are there some with whom I should spend less time? Who are the opinion leaders in areas I want to influence? Who can help me develop skills and competencies I need to progress? Where are opportunities to diversify and expand my range of contacts? While we generally think of strengthening network ties as a good thing, not all of them can or should be the focus of your attention. Think critically about where you may want to spend less attention. For a very simple example, Donald, a former student from Ireland, noted that he'd like to spend less time with people whom he saw purely as his drinking buddies, and so reduce his time devoted to going to bars with them. Stephanie, another student, felt that since she was entering a new job in a new city, she needed to focus her attention on strengthening ties in her new workplace and devote less attention to her family, with whom she already spoke a few times a week. These simple examples show, once again, how everyone is different and each one of us faces unique challenges, unique opportunities for growth and for change. A good solution for you might be a very bad one for me, and vice versa. Alumni of my course have told me that they found this analysis of their networks, asking themselves these questions, they found it to be a useful exercise to do periodically after completing the course. This diagnosis helps you to identify gaps between what your network, which is continually evolving, what it now looks like, and what it needs to look like in the future for you to achieve your leadership vision. The most important part of improving the ability to cultivate social capital is in adopting the mindset of what my colleague Adam Grant, in his great book on this subject, calls a giver, someone who seeks opportunities to help others. If you're on the lookout for what others need and how you can provide it, you're most of the way there. Other critical things to do are strengthen existing connections, the ones that still matter, and, as we discussed earlier, to be the bridge, the one who links others, the connector. Now, the art and science of social capital is about trust, building trust. When you connect others by contributing to them, by providing resources to help others to achieve goals that matter to them, the more trustworthy you will be to those who know you, and indirectly, the more you'll be known as trustworthy among the many people who know the people you know. Your reputation ripples. Let me offer a few more ideas for you to consider, perhaps now, perhaps later, as you progress with your experiment or in the future, with some other experiments that you might try, based on what I've seen from what past students have done well. In thinking about cultivating social capital, some people realize that they tend to spend most of their time with the same group of people, people who are much like them. Through their total leadership experiments, students have undertaken efforts to diversify their networks, and for some, that has meant spending less time with their usual social groups. You might consider doing this too. If not now, in our course, then when we're done. How might your experiments provide opportunities to expand your range of contacts? Well, for experiments that directly aim to expand networks and improve communications frequency or quality with people in your networks, the answer is obvious. But even for other types of experiments, there's usually some potential to use it as an occasion to expand your range. New people in your life. Just about every time you start some new activity or embark on a new project, you meet new people. Consider including these people in your set of contacts and take note of who they are, what they do, and in what they are interested. Your new exercise partner may know somebody who would be a good contact as a business lead, for example. It's a good idea to actively look for connections across all your networks in all your domains. Your non-work friends may, for example, be helpful in providing contacts for work-related issues. So think about ways to connect your different networks. For example, Anita, a former student, felt that it would be helpful to connect her yoga network with her school network, as many of her classmates had expressed to her an interest in keeping fit and exercising regularly. The more you connect people from your different networks, the more you help others expand their networks too. How might you bring together people from different domains for mutual gain? One student started an experiment of having Tuesday night dinners with his wife's parents. Soon, On the suggestion of his wife, he expanded these dinners to include friends and work colleagues. Everyone appreciated his effort. They benefited from being a part of these gatherings, and his reputation grew. Other participants in our program have organized poker games, workout groups, and things like that. The point is this: open your mind to the possibility of including people from different domains in these kinds of social activities. How will you share credit for the success of your experiments? One easy step, cited by many people, is to simply express appreciation verbally to your stakeholders. Almost everyone likes to be complimented and appreciated, so do it. Others have taken stakeholders out for a meal or a celebratory drink. It's fun to find your own way of sharing credit with those who've helped you to achieve something that's important to you, however small it might seem to other people. How else might your experiments fill structural holes and make the world a little smaller? Let's say your friend from college, who you still see as a stakeholder, shares a common interest with your colleague from work. Introduce them. Doing so creates value all around. In your stakeholder dialogues, you might have found out about something about one of your boss's interests, as another example, an interest that sparks an idea about someone to whom you might connect her. Look for these kinds of opportunities and you will be delighted by what you find. You just have to look for them. Okay, let's now turn, in the last of the 3 videos for this week's lecture, to the question of why, when you're trying to generate commitment to your ideas for change, it's so important to think about how your actions contribute to making a difference beyond what you can see right in front of you.